Introduction of guests. Do we have any guests?
That comes a guest.
Bring your daughter to work. You're a regular.
Bring your daughter to work, they will introduce her as a guest.
Anybody have any additions, omissions to the agenda? Anybody want to bring up? Online, anybody? Okay. Minutes of the previous meeting, did everybody go over them? I know they were sent out, I went over them, looked pretty good. Anything you saw?
Nope, I looked them over before they got posted, so.
Good. Looked good to me. Anybody have any objections to approving the minutes? All right, carry on with that. We're on to you.
All right, EGLE updates. So, been a good quarter, we've been busy. We did bring out our road show. We are back live in person, talking to the health departments on more construction topics and training. As well as some of our engineers have been joining the training, so we did the first two, one up in Gaylord. And then yesterday, that was November 29th, and then yesterday we did one in Lapeer. So we've got the north and the east. We're focusing on the west, so we'll have one county health department on January 10th. And then we're gonna have a main session for that will bring in our folks too. So
That going well.
it is going well. We packed the room.
I think,
Yesterday, it was a full room, 150.
hey, Tweak, are you on there? I think it was over 50,
Yeah, there was
wasn't it?
49. So that was our most attended one.
Mostly sanitarians,
Okay.
maybe some supervisors. The vast majority were sanitarians, and then, like I said, a few of our EGLE engineers were sprinkled in there too.
So,
But yeah,
what's been the biggest, I guess, occurrence or issue that they raised in terms of needing help or support or clarification?
well, the presentations that we gave were more focused on the topics of the NPRs, the logic and locations, and Dave did a downhole camera demonstration, showed them how that works and what they can see.
He's a cool kid.
Yeah,
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 sure.
that was pretty.
Keep thinking that way until you see the presentation.
Yeah. And then Brad did an enforcement update as far as, what they're doing and what enforcement means and where they're sport. And then geologist Travis Bauer gave a presentation on source water and how we review the aquifer tests and what's involved in reviewing hydrogeology. That's what that one.
Yeah. Have you had any, and the reason I asked this, because we've had a couple of calls from drillers versus MPRs versus code issues.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and those kind of been kind of leveled out.
You're gonna have to probably be more specific, code versus NPR.
Well,
I guess.
in other words, I noticed that basically the more entry level sanitarians get confused with what's required on code for a driller versus what's an NPR requirement for them on there, so. As in, what they're supposed to do on their end and what we're supposed to do on our end. That's all.
Kathy is doing the NPR talk, making them aware of where they can find the documentation and kind of goes through the NPRs. It's only a half-hour talk, so she can only kind of cover so much. But-
Can't do everything.
Right, so, yeah, so basically, just kind of a general talk on the NPR, so they know where they are and actually kind of to figure out why they're doing what they're doing, beyond just,
I think a
interpreting.
lot of times that's probably more of the confusion than anything. And I think drilling demonstrations and partnering meetings and, you guys at your roadshow is gonna help that a lot. And actually the fundamentals training,
Right.
all of it encompassing is gonna help that. I know Tony, you're fortunate down here, you've got a lot of sanitarians that are you can team up, you can take your sanitarian and team them up with an experienced sanitarian, and send them out, but some of the departments, you got an entry-level sanitarian and they walk in and it's like, well, who am I going out with? There's one,
Good luck.
you're it, you know, you're it, and it makes it kind of difficult, so.
Yeah, and I know, you know, each one of the staff members in well construction offer, you know, to go out in the field with, you know, new and even experienced sanitarians, you know, for final inspections and different things too. You know, every time there's any kind of health department review or discussion with supervisors, I know that that's being said, and some health departments are better at taking us up on that than others. But it is available.
Elizabeth spent quite a bit of time with the new sanitarian hired to do final inspections in bed during tasks. And went down for a few days and did right well with them,
Nice.
showed them the ropes. So yeah, we definitely are promoting that. It's going to take us on.
Yeah, the issue that I could see or the stumbling block you guys have is how long is that person there, do they go, and then you're doing it all over again. I mean, we run into it in our industry too. I mean, on our side, you get an employee in, and poof, they're gone, 8 months, and it's a cycle.
Yeah.
Sure.
Is it safe to say that, you know, you said that some take you up on the offer and some don't, the ones that don't probably the ones that should be?
I don't know if it's that so much, or I think that we just need to, right, it's easy to say, call me, and then people get busy, and that does not occur. So I think that there might even be just some question on, well, what do they want to see when we go ride along? And it's what the sanitarian wants us to see and wants help with, and what they have questions on, so.
And some health departments are better at having their own training program
Yeah,
up front. So they don't really request our help because they feel like they've got a training program in place already that does the
Yeah.
job.
you guys are pretty robust.
Yeah, I mean, you don't even get your assigned geographic area until you went through
Mhm.
you know, I'm not comfortable with most of the land and water staff, field staff have 1 or 2 years, close to 2. We're trying to streamline it a little bit, but you know, like the food had the standardization where they can't even do, it's about 6 months to get through that, but we've got something very similar, very structured where you share so many, then you kind of do a joint, then you do it on your own, and then your trainer evaluates you, so many inspections. And, you know, I think I said 5 to the training in the period yesterday of my newer.
Yep.
Sand just got moved over. It was hard forming people, so, but we got, you know, we talked about the old, you know, when I started, you had to pass the exam and see 2 wells through completion before you got in the field. You know, that you're all inspector, groundwater inspector,
Mhm.
for, which is still in the manual. I did notice there were some things that were updated, like dates of this past summer and different things in the manual. We were looking at reviewing some of the stuff that I don't remember. I don't know what was updated, but there were revision dates of like the last couple of years in that manual. I mean, rather go through line by line with 4 pages.
The only technical information that I'm aware of that was updated was the cement type 1L stuff. I know Susan went through and like updated names, you know, because people, you know, Sarah wasn't here 7 years ago as our supervisor, so you have to change names and things along those lines and make things ADA compliant and things like that. Those were the mass or majority of changes. Besides the 1L, I'm not aware of any changes that were made technically to the document besides
No.
that.
Decided to just push through and just get that done. I mean, there's some other things that you have thoughts on,
Mhm.
to change, but we just wanted to get it out there with that type 1L.
I think the biggest struggles is just experience, you know, and level of expertise and what you're comfortable approving. And, you know, with every meeting that we have, you know, we've got monthly meetings, but we've got quarterly where it's all of our more special program staff. And yesterday's topic just happened to be well hogs. And, you know, we put up and we go through some cable tools, so I'm just showing, you know, if your screen isn't at this depth, that your boreholes aren't, that, you know, that there could be some things on the well log that you need to look at this, because you're looking at it, and the NPRs and the law for accuracy and completeness and timeliness. You know, questions about you submit on the 59th day, you send it back with the enforcement. Do you change it with written verification? I think it's in one of the indicators, number 3. And, you know, staff are a lot of different answers because they've got a different level of expertise. I'm like, you don't change the legal document, but there's some well drillers that, you know, they consistently turn in records that, you know, maybe they're doing 10 in a row and they had a busy week or whatever, and maybe they weren't the ones on the rig, but they're the driller that has to sign it, and I get all that. But a new sanitarian, you know, maybe, you know, I think they're more comfortable sending a letter of enforcement, because if it's a 59 thing, we get it, and there's stuff wrong, you send it back, then you get an enforcement letter that you're 60 days past. You know, and some drillers might have a problem with that, but it's like, well, you didn't submit an accurate record. I mean, what do you want to do? You guys come in and audit us. We don't want that to impact our revenue, you know, our contractual obligations or NPR. So just the review of a well log was a pretty robust conversation, and all the issues that come up with that are pretty common and very frequent. And the other thing with the well log too, I know it's too much of a lead for this topic, but
Yeah.
I mean, you can just, if there's too much, you know.
No.
Oh, it's a discussion.
No,
It's just talking about, you know, when we review it in well log, you know, there's certain fields that are on well logs, the paper records, there's certain ones that are in. It'd be nice to be able to see before you hit submit the entire log, one thing. And just some of the differences, you know, from what the law says, what the paper record says, and what well logic said, you know, there's different fields, you know, that everything was consistent, that would help. I think that adds some confusion.
Well, there's a lot of confusion.
Yeah.
well, the genesis of my question was, you know, what health departments, you know, the ones that are not available, making themselves available. I'll say this from the industry perspective, you know, the ones that really should be going to our fundamentals course or our annual conference, education conference, usually aren't the ones that are there. You know, we've got good well drillers who go, and it's a good refresher, but
Right.
ones that are chronic problems that cause problems for you guys that should be there aren't. You know, and, you know, not a week goes by where I'm not dealing with, I don't know, 2 to 3 different health departments every week because a driller got a correction order or whatever. And what we have been encouraging drillers, as well as when we talk to health departments, each directors and sanitarians, is, hey, if you've got an issue with a well log, if it's not, you know, if it's a minor thing, pick up the phone and call the driller and say, hey, you didn't put down the XY coordinate. Here's what I've measured. Do you mind if I amend your well log? Not just send a correction, because then it creates more paperwork and more work for the sanitarian. And I'm not gonna say for Oakland, because you guys are the gold standard, but a lot of the health departments, like, look, I have X number of sanitarians that are doing restaurant sanitary, you know, septic, you know, well, everything else. We don't have time to do all this stuff and then be chasing down correction orders. So if you can pick up the phone and call the driller and say, hey, I think you meant to do this. Is it okay if I amend it? And then we're good to go, and it doesn't create additional paperwork for everybody else.
But
So
I'm gonna jump to his side of the fence. I
I
think,
need the record.
well, he mentioned one thing that is true. It's a legal document, okay? Followed up by an email, as we spoke on the phone,
Yep,
you said I could go ahead and change this. Correct. Now you got a documented record. Because 5 years from now,
Right, so it's been, right.
5 years from now, when it comes up, if it's not in writing, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
well, you're right.
Well, there's no, I never told the health department to change I submitted like that, even if it's all wrong.
And Tony's
Yes,
defense, I think that
I agree.
what you said is the way to handle
But
it.
the follow-up, you're right, the follow-up email.
Follow needs to happen.
You know,
Email
even when I
needs to
said,
be, I've sent you an email right
That's
now.
upsetting to a lot of drillers though, but you know, what do you want us to do? I mean,
Right.
it's, you know, the
Well,
other
it's
thing is I
catch-
need to make sure the state's good when they come in and do audits on our records, and they told, you know, we give them a list of permits and they do a random sample. That if it comes up that, you know, what's written verification for you guys? What are you guys comfortable with us accepting as written verification?
Right.
An email, a letter, to resubmit the whole law? The one thing I told them, if it's something that, you know, you can't see in the ground, and if you go out there, you drop a tape or something, it's 40 feet, and they put it to 158 feet. You know, or if they've got 100, you know, they drilled to 130 feet, and they say they got 180 feet of casing, or, you know, it's.
Egregiously bad.
Yeah, if it's a chloride contamination, they're supposed to have, you know, plastic tapes, you know, it's cement wrap or something like that. And it's totally wrong, you know, it's a 4-inch with, they need to resubmit that. I
Oh,
don't care if
yes.
it's 59th day and they're over. We need to get that correct.
Right.
But something like the coordinates, if we're out there and it's sub-meter accuracy, we'll put the coordinates on there. Are the intersections wrong? Maybe they didn't know where they were from this count, you know, so we'll put the right one, or it's, you got 75 feet from a source of contamination, but we're right there with the GPS and doing the drain field inspection, and it's 53 feet. I'd rather us put the accurate number in there. Now, it's gonna conflict with the well log. So do we get that corrected? I mean, those are all, they were good questions, you know. So but we've got a different level of expertise and relationships with well drillers should, you know, and I just am not comfortable telling my staff, you know, on something. It depends on what it is. Like I said, an intersection, I'd be good with an email or,
Yeah, minor
you
things like
know,
that.
people are like, well, when you take a photograph of a text, I'm like, well, you can't tell who's phone
I
it is.
agree with that.
What if it's one of the workers? It's not the guy that signed the well log. I know who phone your screenshot the text from. You know, I think it needs to be a written verification like it says in the law.
Well, I mean,
It's a legal document.
you're right, it is a legal document. When we were talking yesterday, you had a sanitary call and say you used too much grout,
I agree with that.
you know, and after he had the conversation and said, all right, well, let's talk about, you know, how you arrived at your mail and talk about your sanitary intelligence, you used too much grout.
Oh, yeah.
You know, but it was an opportunity with someone that was new to educate and say, all right, let me share with you. You know, this is a wonderful document, but it's very imperfect. It doesn't recognize the reality sometimes out in the field.
Well, shoot, there was
Any longer.
the sanitarian, he, she, him, or whatever, was referring to the directions on the bag. I said, well, that's great. In a perfect world, do you live in one? Said, so let's learn something right now. I said, that's with this size hole, perfect material, everything else. That's not what happens. I said, with my 30-something years of drilling, I can't get 20-foot per bag. So if you see more drought in my well, that's because I needed it. I said, and sometimes if I hit a lost zone, you're gonna see a lot more drought in my well, a lot. I might call and say, I need way more. So it's gonna happen. And it was a learning curve. And I said, the key you wanna remember, and you know, maybe I'm throwing some of my fellow colleagues on the bus. If you see every well log with 20 feet per bag, there's a problem. There's a problem.
Someone's budgeting right.
Right, there's a problem. There's a big.
So am I hearing that you would want things just returned regardless of what it is?
So
You would want a well log return regardless of what it is? I mean, if we
I
do
would
that
want, I
thoroughly.
would want a phone call first. I would want a phone call or email. Hey, I noticed this. You know, if it's the 59th day and you're under the gun and it's in, and you're an NPR and I've waited to the 59th day to get it in, but you know, there's an issue. Okay, but if you guys are going over well logs and it's a distance and direction, or it's a grout bag issue, or the casing doesn't match the screen or something, it could be a typo. Email, phone call, say, hey, did you mean to do this?
And then follow up with a confirmation, email, say we talked about this, blah, blah, blah.
But who's the burden on the confirmation email? You know, it gets into time and who's responsible for, you know.
Well, first of all,
What,
it's
what was that?
my, to be honest with you, it's my law.
Yeah.
Okay, that's my legal document, not yours.
Right.
Okay, or yours. It's my law. I would, first of all, I filed it. If I didn't notice it, well, that happens. You did it. Bring it to my attention. Now it's in my court to fix. Now, if it's beyond my, because sometimes I only have 10 days to fix. depending on what it is. So then I pop it to the help desk, hey, this needs to be corrected. It's this, and this is brought to my attention, please correct it. Now I have an email to the help desk. Which corrected and they control.
Adam, did you have something you wanted to say?
No, Buddy literally took every word out of my mouth, so I just put my hand down. I feel the
Okay.
same way. There's no way. I do it once in a great while, but I'm really meticulous away because when I pull up a well log, I want it to look perfect for my kids' sake, their kids' sake, everything. But so once in a while, I'll have like something silly that I did a typo because I was in a big yank or I had one of the girls do it or something. But it is there. The driller, that's 110% the driller's responsibility to fix that. He should be emailing Well Logic and not the health department. The health department could bring it to their attention, but that's our document and his responsibility at that. My tax dollars shouldn't pay somebody to fix some other driller's responsibility.
The other two things we're coming up with, we're putting well into service without safe back feed. You know, you're not to put it into service without a safe back feed.
So that's a good question. Who's putting it in service? Is it the owner of the property or the driller?
Well, that's the thing, then you would have to take the samples at the wellhead before you ran it into the house, right? Because once it's hooked up, that's in service. And when you tell them not to drink the.
The valve is off, it's labeled, it's not in service.
Okay, well, I mean, I don't know if that's really clear.
I mean, I know my instructions to my crew is the tank's hooked up, everything there, the valve's off, the homeowner's instructed. You cannot put this up, safe bacteria sample is taken at that sample, right there. Period.
Now, we can get you all to do.
Well, that's not the issue. Tell grandma that's been out of water for 6 months.
Well, all right,
To do that.
understandable.
Well, I mean, that's facetious speaking,
Right, let's go.
but she's been out of water and she had to flush her toilets and everything else. You know,
And they might not be drinking it, you know, but
Yeah.
and I get that.
and a lot of
There's
people think the same
a
thing.
garden hose to the neighbor, which happens too. You know, and then the other thing about the submit the records untimely, we're getting a lot of pushback from well drillers. It says, it says, and give a copy to the owner, first and foremost. Almost like I've memorized this 30 years ago, but the owner, the department and local health department, and they hold them because they didn't get payment. Well, that's not our problem. So when you get a violation letter, hold it for 2 years. You're not gonna get an approval. You might not be able to close. If the deal fell through and we wait on the builder to sell it again to somebody else, that's not our deal. I mean, but I think some of the drillers get upset about getting something from us, and
That's poor business practice.
I mean, what do you do? I mean, if the deal fell through, the local health department can't control that. No, you still are. Does that happen a lot, where like people don't turn in, pay workers are waiting on payment from the owner before they?
And not in my world.
Okay.
Not in my world. I don't know, Dave, you hear much about it.
On occasion, you hear something like that, but it's not normal, that's for sure.
It's usually, I'm gonna say this with all due respect to everybody here, it's usually a mom and pop shop that are so overwhelmed.
I was thinking maybe
But you
people
guys
in the
agree on
water,
line?
they just lost their job in the pandemic or something. I don't. But if you're out of water, I mean, we got programs and all where we'll pay for your well and you sell up when you sell the house, like kind of a notice loan, then you take the equity out when you sell the home or something like that. They don't want you to use that water, but I don't know. It seems to be more of an issue these days for some reason. Just maybe. Set up your clothes.
The business practices part of it. Yes. Right. Anything else?
Yeah.
On that subject?
No,
Okay, now we're up to unfinished business.
I got a couple of
Oh, go ahead.
updates.
Continue, I'm sorry.
You took my first update.
Speak, buddy.
I'm going to the table.
No. We're doing a quarterly Well Logic newsletter now, And that's coming out to users of WellLogic, so that's gonna have updates to, where maybe we can communicate some of these items. So that's a
You have to be a
potential.
registered user of WellLogic to get that, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So I know you have just a general public access one, because I use that all the time.
No,
But I'm
we
not- I'm
don't,
not
you're not
registered in your
logging in.
system. Yeah, I'm not logging.
No.
Well, no, she could probably put me on the list, right? You just get a registration. I'm assuming some like we could get a account.
Anybody can have register.
Okay.
Um, yeah. And then in addition to that, we're having communication, that's a broader communication, but it's also focused on our drilling contracting partners, our groundwater professionals and our health departments. And that's our news and notes, and Kathy is putting that together, and we have more than 300 subscribers on that. We sent the first one back in August.
Oh.
Yeah, and the next one is coming out, it's quarterly, so the next one is probably coming out next week, is my guess. We're waiting for one link to be able to send it out.
Good.
But yeah,
Kathy's in charge of that?
yep, and it's just some helpful reminders, and it has some dates in it that are coming up, so we've got your conference coming up, as well as when the next exam is, and just some helpful information. I think this one's gonna focus on some health and safety concerns with hydrogen sulfide and some incidents that happened back in the day when they were doing some disinfections with certain chemicals and caused deaths. So it just a health and safety reminder to people that this can happen when you're disinfecting wells. So that's gonna be the topic. So we're doing that. And in addition, we are changing our directory for the registered contractors. Right now, posted on the website, we update it periodically, is the list that we pull from WellLogic, and it's a PDF format. We are going to be shifting over in the next day, two, or maybe next week, depending on when we get the link, but I want to give you a sneak preview of what this is gonna look like. So I'm gonna share my screen here. There we go. Of what this dashboard will look like, and we have the stain feature for the septic haulers. So you can find a registered water well drilling or pump installing contractor based on what's current in WellLogic up to date. And you can search. Everybody is listed in here who is paid up in WellLogic and is in good standing. And you can search by county and pick a county. Oh, good.
I'm sorry to go back to the document, so that's coming up next week.
News and notes. So, friends, I'll pick Calhoun and Cass. Here's all, they all are. There's Calhoun, and it even has a map showing where you're located based on the address that you have in WellLogic for your business. Or you can search by a registration type. You can even search by city if you wanted to, or, you know, this is open to the public. They can search by business name. They can search by, I can pick out cats.
Yes.
And the contractor name, and it narrows down to Myron and Ryan. Who they
Hey,
are.
Sarah, when you're in the zoomed out, when you're zoomed out a little bit more, can you click on one of those symbols and will it highlight the drilling company?
It does, yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Awesome.
So I can go in here and let's try to clear all of these.
Not to go too far in the weeds, but are you going to have some checks and balances in there? So if I say, here's your long lat, and I've got either the wrong long lat or the wrong address, it would say you have an error. Can you do those types of things?
No, this is primarily address matched because
Okay.
these are just business addresses, but if we see something that's wrong, just let us know.
Okay.
So here I can put.
I'm just wondering in terms of, like, if I was dealing with an issue earlier this week, a credit order from the health department, and I was able to get the well log and the abandonment record pulled it up, but they had the wrong address, the correction order. So
Oh.
they transposed some numbers, it was, half a mile down the road or whatever, but,
Okay.
still at the end of the day, it's like, my first question is, well, why is the abandonment, the well record here, be referencing this property here?
Oh, okay. That's the apples and oranges to
So,
what I'm talking
no,
about.
sorry
But,
for confusing that.
Nope. But to answer your question, Scott, I just clicked on this dot up here and it showed paint swell drilling.
Yes.
And it also shows you where the drillers are located around the state.
It's kind of neat.
It's kind of a neat feature. We're doing it for the septic haulers as well. We have the same type of dashboard and it works out real well. So now we get live, real time. It's available to the health departments. It's available to the public. It's available for you guys. Anybody can go on there and check it out.
What is this for subsidiaries?
This is gonna be the directory of registered contractors. So it's on our will construction page. So
But
you
you're
don't
not gonna have
have
a
Well, it's not up yet.
No, it will be.
So you're just not gonna have a PDF list
Right.
of all the
Right.
contractors?
Yep.
Okay.
We're just gonna eliminate that PDF because why do that when we have live up-to-date information being fed from the database?
So if you don't pay for your license on time,
You're not gonna be in there. No,
There you go.
and you don't have to wait for us to update it. It's when it expires. And the Kathy flips the switch in there to non-renewal, then they come home.
Just be present to win, right?
Yes. So we're excited about modernizing that.
It is pay to play. That's simple, but it's right.
I agree.
And just figured, other than that, I give you some fun facts for FY 2023, which was fiscal year 2023, October of 2022 until last September of 30th. We had on record 13,083 permits issued across the state.
Wow.
And 11,358 wells reported as being drilled. And we had 14,460 records added to that.
14,000.
460.
So I'm gonna ask a double question. I'm assuming the other ones were abandonment records, then the difference between the 13 and the 2.
Yeah, there's pump installs. There's also, yeah. Some things like that. Also wells being drilled the previous
Right,
year
here.
come in, the well logs come in because we have lay logs and things like that.
Yeah.
Or just, no. Or just even the bridging between the fiscal years, so.
What was the fact number, the 13,000 number?
The 13,083.
No, what was that for?
Oh, I'm sorry. Permits issued.
So the permits issued, drilled, and then records added to well logs for the three numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
That's. Unbelievable.
Thank you.
That's fine.
That's your update?
Now you can
Okay,
cut
I
it
can open the app for now.
Cool.
Okay. Unfinished business, Michigan Groundwater, Michigan Association of Local Environmental Health Administrators, Michigan Environmental Health Association, Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, People Training Outreach, open to all. Go ahead, I'll let you talk about that.
Yep, so the last time we met was in September, so we did one partner meeting up in Grayling, we had an island supply. It was perfect weather, it was crappy out, so we had a good participation rate. I think we had 12 different health departments come. I mean, we were really pleased with the turnout from the health department side. As I was kind of joking earlier, some of the drillers that should have been there weren't, but we still had a very good discussion. In fact, Joe Curry from Oakland County came up. He's on our board, but gave a little different perspective for what you guys do in Oakland County was kind of insightful. So, I thought it went well. There was a lot of good discussion. There's a lot of opportunity. Buddy and I are still trying to map out the rest of the other ones. I know Tony at the September, when we were here before, you were asking about the rest of the state. It is still our intent to do that. One of the really good feedback discussions we had was the health departments want to get opportunities to go out on drilling demonstrations, not, hey, I'm going out to Buddy's house and, bring 10 of your sanitarians, but could we do one like in a county park or something, not have to worry about the liability and the other things? Come out as almost as a training day, bring up your sanitarians, bring up other folks in the industry, and let's talk about, see it from the beginning to the end. So that was something that was really good. There was I got some other pushback on a little bit. One of them said, well, can we do it on a regional basis? One health department said, well, I'm in Alpena. I don't care what you do over in, Ludington, because the geology is different. I want to know what's going on in my neck of the woods. But it was overall a good discussion. I think what we're going to do in the future, that's not my decision, that's Buddy's, but what we'll probably do is survey our health department partners as well as the well drillers and say, give me your top 3 issues you want to talk about. So we can kind of amalgamate things and we can kind of focus that discussion on those types of issues otherwise. So because I didn't want this to turn into just a bitch session of, here's all the things you guys are doing wrong. And then you guys are like, here's all the things you're doing wrong. No, what common issues are we hearing? What things can we work on? One of the things I really stress with everybody is, all right, sanitarians, how many well driller cell phones do you have in your phone? All right, you well drillers, how many sanitarians do you have on your cell phone? So when an issue arises in the field, you can pick up the sanitarian and say, hey, you issued this permit. I ran into this situation, what do you want to do?
Ask for permission, don't ask for forgiveness, if you can.
Yeah, so, but yeah, I thought it went well. It was a good discussion.
Can you remind me why with the 12 selected in kind of just in the middle of the state, northern law?
No, it's just basically northern everybody up to the bridge.
And where do you, why did you select that group first?
I don't know why.
Yeah.
One of our well drillers was
The squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Okay.
yeah, you're right.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's the most content. Okay, good example. I'll explain to you this way. That way down, more sanitarians, more money. So there are more sanitarians that can team up. So the training is actually a little bit better south. Whereas the north. Hi, Mike, welcome. Here's your book. Read it. Tomorrow you're gonna go out and inspect wells. See it. That's what happens. What happens. But so you have more contentious issues up there. So the partnering meeting works better. The first one worked better that way than it would this way.
Yeah.
Now in here, we're gonna have more technical issues like you. Hey, what would you rather have? A phone call, you want an email, you're gonna change the log, we're gonna change the log. That's fine.
And I'll give props to Maliha and Mel, Norm came up with that as well from Mel. And you guys were very generous and sponsored lunch. So, it was great. And I look forward to doing some of the other ones.
The health officers have more money than the inspectors. You know that, right?
What's that?
You're just a.
That they're all. No, the other thing I was wondering was, have you guys ever partnered? I'm trying to remember now. You all remember Tollgate? It's an MSU, basically property. It had a dairy farm on it.
Oh, yeah.
And Dr. Loudon and Ted Loudon and Del Montma, we had different septic fields out there, and you could do like, so, yeah, well, no, it's not, well, there's one at the Turfgrass place. But this was in a 12-mile attack or 12-mile Novi Road for Drake, I think. And it was in Oakland County, it was just this big MSU thing. And we had trainings down there. They had cross-sectional views of different alternative systems, drip irrigation, just conventional system. They'd have it where it's cross, if you could do like, you could do all kinds of different things. Have you guys ever drilled on something like that? Had like a cross-sectional,
No, but I'd love to do it.
where it would partner with MSU. The thing of it is, you always needed somebody that was on faculty. So after Loudon and Montma retired, that kind of dried up, and then Florida retired too from here. Because we all had a pretty good relationship. We used to meet for tapping over there. And But I'm sitting there thinking, you said a park,
Mhm.
but you know, is there something that could be permanent that you could? I don't even know if you could reuse a bore, you can't get that, you put the trimming down and I don't know, you probably have to drill it.
Well, we'll get Dave out there with his portable camera, because now he's a camera guy.
Yeah.
It's videos, right?
Sure.
So it would probably have to be drill each one for each.
Yeah.
You have to coordinate something for each one.
And there was some discussion about, you know, we invite EGLE. Some people said, yep, I want to invite EGLE because you're an important partner, the, you know, the three-legged stool. And others said, no, this is just between the drillers and the sanitarians who are issuing the permits and more directly. You know, I won't say I'm agnostic, but, you know, I think there's value either way.
I think there's value on both sides. I think some of the sanitarians are afraid to ask questions in front of people for fear of pollution. Could be asked a little question sometimes. Dave was that you should answer my question. I know you wouldn't.
Sound like it rhymes, but.
You know,
But just think if these two weren't here, all the questions I'd be asking you guys, you know, we're all here, you know.
if you're scared, we're in trouble.
They're all good, all good. We all need to be on the same page.
Yeah, right.
And that's the thing that we've been.
But it's, you know, we do all need to be on the same page. So we're all hearing the same thing, so it's not like.
That's exactly right.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that was something that we really wanted to stress in the first partnering meeting was, look, we all have the same destination we're trying to get
That's
to.
right.
You're going to go in a little different route than I am, but you can make my job easier or more difficult, and I can make your job more easier or more difficult. So we should be communicating and working together to get to that same mutual goal.
I want to say something while we're on the subject right now. I come back to the National Railroad Association, which I sat on the board there. And I sat in a meeting with about 8 other states. Every other state had CP, every other. And exactly what you just got to say. The guys that need the CP, they don't come to those countries. They get their CE at a supply house where they go in, they talk about a pressure tank, and they walk in, they sit down with their arms folded. They're there for the minimal amount of time needed, they get their badge scanned, and they're out the door. So the answer isn't,
Those are the ones that should be there the longest.
right, the answer isn't that format. The answer is collaborative meetings, talking about the issues, and working out the solutions for the problems. That's the answer.
Well, and one of the questions I asked at the very beginning is how many, you know, with your local sanitary codes, how many have advisory board meetings similar to this on your local health department? Very few raise their hands.
Right, and they should. Nothing should be internal.
You should be having discussions and input.
You should get input, then go back. Then input on the industry, bring it in and out all the time. So, all right. Where are we at? Is that it?
Yeah.
I think we all agree on that. That's why we're here.
So I don't know if it be.
Or a B. Well, logic work updated Eden. She's not here, right?
Well, it's here.
She's on.
I'm here.
Right?
I'm here.
Eden.
Hey, guys. Yeah, I'm just gonna give just a really quick update on some WellLogic stuff. Sarah kind of stole my thunder about the newsletter, but, yeah, I'm gonna be sending, the first one went out to anybody who, basically has an email address in WellLogic. They all got sent those. And the plan is to do it quarterly. And I'm always looking for input. In fact, I've already got an idea for the next article. Should I pick up the phone or should I send a correction order? That's a timely topic, but we're stepping up the training. I'm going to be we've got about 57 or so well drillers that still send in paper records. And it kills us. It kills me. So we're going to really be reaching out to those guys. I am, and really see if I can convince them to submit their records into WellLogic directly. Some of them have said they would, but then they for whatever reason, they've kind of put me off, but I'm going to be contacting them again, and I'm hoping MGWA will support our efforts in trying to get these guys into the present time. So, and we're also going to be reaching out, again, me to local health departments to do some more training with them. Like Sarah said, we've been doing these regional trainings recently, and the focus of my presentation is all just well locations and the importance of how do you get an accurate lat long and all that stuff. So, yeah, and trying to get the local health departments to kind of step up their review of those well locations and have them check the lat longs to see if they're correct. So those are a couple things. Internally, we've got our 2 WellLogic analysts that we hired earlier this year, Isaac and Natalie, and they've been entering those paper records from those 57 drillers. They've been fixing locations, and just recently they've been reaching out to some local health departments when we have records that we can't locate. We don't know where the well's at. And these could be records from the 80s, the 90s, 2000s, even up till present. Some records, reaching out to the counties and saying, hey, can you guys help us locate these? Sometimes the records don't have an address, but there's a permit number. So we're hoping that maybe some local health departments will have, some information on the wells are located. So that's just a fairly new thing we've been doing, but that's pretty much all I have. Oh, the other thing is the newsletter. I think I'm going to see about posting those on our website. So in case somebody misses one or somebody else wants to read it, it's for the public. We don't care who sees it. So, in fact, there's some good information there that might help some of the public. So, that's all I have. Anybody got any questions or comments or?
Take a picture of me behind bars and say, don't go to Woodrow jail. Oh my God, I gotta do well laws, so I don't go to Woodrow jail.
Yeah. Well, it's important that we know where those are. Just the Water Use Advisory Council meeting this week, and knowing the location of those wells is really critical, because using our resources and being able to allocate water resources with large quantity withdrawals is really critical. And we would like to, I love what Adam said earlier, that he doesn't want his tax dollars going for somebody to be entering his work. So
Yep.
Tell the rest of your folks that. That would be great.
So, can I ask one question on that? All of those 57, how many wells do those 57 drill a year?
It really varies, buddy. Some of them, like they might be a couple drillers from Wisconsin that drill maybe 10 wells in Michigan a year, up to somebody who drills 150 wells a year. It really, I don't know the total, but there's some drillers on the list that drill a fair number of wells that just submit paper.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yep. Mike's got a question.
Just on that same topic, are these older established businesses where the owner, the licensed driller is, just kind of not tech savvy? It seems to me the younger generation is very tech savvy with the advent of smartphones and so forth.
Well, I can think of 2 in particular that drill a fair number of wells, and I remember both of them telling me, because they use WellLogic to renew their registration, so they're familiar with WellLogic, and they look up records and they do all that stuff. But they said, my dad does the well records and he wants to do them on paper. That's how he does them, and until he stops doing them, we're going to keep doing paper. So. Now, that's not the case with everybody, but yeah, and there's other ones I've talked to that are just like, oh, I'm not good at computers and I'm not, so it really varies.
I'll give you some good news, Anita. the National Groundwater Association come out with NGWA Business Pro. And it's gonna be released probably in January. It's being developed right here in Lansing, Michigan. And drillers will be able to do their well log right here. And it's gonna go through the cloud back to the office. And the owner can just check it, and if it's good, and submit it right from the office, right mobilely.
Wow.
And
I
bill
didn't know.
customer.
What's it called?
NGWA Business Pro.
Oh, okay. Huh.
I'll get you the information on it.
Yeah, I would like to see that.
Because they will feed our new groundwater data management system. Because WellLogic is going to be replaced. Fantastic.
I've been in on the ground floor of it for a year and a half, so we've been working on it. It's gonna be integrated with QuickBooks for the database portion for the business operations. But it's also gonna be nationwide for each state's database to submit well logs and bill customers through the cloud, bill them and submit logs and information. And what we're working on right now is, it's great here in Michigan, but when you get out Timbuktu, Idaho, or Colorado, you don't have a lot of, satellite or cell service. So we're working on being able to have it stored until you get signal, then upload and go to, the home base, and then you can check it out and then make sure everything's good, because sometimes the driller isn't the registered person. So the registered person, like I said, Dad wants to make sure the log is good before it goes. Totally get it. Dad can check it over. Yeah, that's good. Everything matches up. Yep, it's right. And all they do is push a button, and off it goes.
Yeah, now would you, because it's a national product, would you have to you'd have to customize the software for each state's requirements, right? Is that?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a work in progress, and we're gonna have to customize it. Right now, it's gonna be with QuickBooks Pro and Enterprise, and then we're gonna make it work with Peachtree and all the rest of the accounting programs eventually. So that's a little bit of good news. It's not probably gonna be an advantage here, maybe a year down the road, but it's coming. Yep. Nice. Okay. Anything else on that? Anybody else have anything on WellLogic? I know Chad's ready, he's going in. All right, well drilling demonstrations for local health departments. That's your sharing, Dave.
Last time around, I know Buddy said that, and we thought we were gonna be able to get a site in Coldwater to do some additional training and have pictures for that, and that one didn't quite work out, but I think in the spring, we'll be able to work something out, and get that site
Looking for
and
a
get some.
different location or?
Yeah, well, we'll have to work out a location. Coldwater is a good area.
Yep.
For us, because it's kind of in the center lower, and that would make a good location for a lot of health departments to be able to make it, because you can even places like Monroe and Berrien, it's not that far to get to, and they're on the edges. So that was a good location. It didn't work out, which so be it, but we'll figure it out for the spring. We could try and set something up for winter, but I really think spring, once it warms up, would be a lot better for everyone. So
I'm trying to push some large quantity for all wells.
mhm.
I'm saying purposely push them off, but it's working out, so maybe we can do one large quantity,
Sure.
maybe one in Washington.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, if you come up with sites, and you can give me 2 weeks advance
Okay.
notice, I will publicize it and we will get people there. Like I said, I know most sanitarians, if they get a hold of drillers, can find a site. What we really want is not only to just have the driller and the driller's helper there, But yes, someone that's knowledgeable, approachable,
Yeah.
that can answer questions, that can help out along with,
Yeah.
you know, us being there to help. Talk about maybe more for us to talk more about the regulatory side, but the actual drilling side. If someone's there from the firm themselves dedicated to just that, you get a lot better response from the sanitarians that are there.
Right.
So,
Chad, do you guys have anything on the west side that you could do where you could moderate? Maybe this next spring?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm sure we could work something out. That wouldn't be a problem.
That'd be a good moderator. Same thing, Mike, you know. And then Adam, you're operating the rig though most of the time, aren't you?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's kind of hard for me to really, communicate with everybody if I've got a drill. So, but I mean, anybody's welcome to come anytime. I could do anything.
I could spend a day with Adam and then I could moderate.
That would be great.
okay. Yeah, we'll get something going in the
We don't have a
spring.
lot here.
Right.
Exactly.
Definitely. Mm-hmm. Yep, I will write that down. But anyways, we were able to get out, up in Cadillac, earlier this year, and I'm gonna share my screen and, I took over 100 pictures, so
Really?
I'm not gonna show all of them.
That's awesome.
I'm not gonna share all of them, but, what I wanted to do is just kind of show in general, just, some of them. So anyways,
Oh, that's good line there.
yep, got the screen and the pipe sitting there, getting ready to go at the site. Drilling operation going on, they had their new, mud puppy, set up, kind of filtering out the, materials coming up and out of the hole. You can see they've got a smaller tub there. Drilling the hole, you can see the cuttings coming up. Like I said, I'll run through these pretty quick here. Grout, sand pack, pipe on the back of the truck. Taking the tricone bit out of the hole after it was done. Putting the screen into place. Here's kind of our general turnout as far as sanitarians. I think, we only had probably about a week and a half's notice, but, for,
That's good turnout.
yeah.
It's something done about a dozen or so, so.
Yep.
Bad.
yeah. So Travis was a really good, host as far as, talking about stuff and being open to, little sidebar conversations as well. Casing in place. Kind of thinning out the mud, getting ready for sand pack and grout. Putting the sand down, a little bit of chlorinated sand. Putting the tremie pipe in place. Getting ready to grout. Obviously, getting ready here to grout again. There's Travis, showing everybody, what grout's supposed to look like, kind of having a conversation there.
Nice.
And then, you see the happiness of everyone when they have to pump the grout out. Kind of see it coming out there towards the end. And after it was in, some development time
That
there.
almost looks like a 6'9" wall.
Yeah, it is.
That's what it thought it looked like.
Mhm. So anyways, that's, like I said, I didn't want to spend, show all 100 pictures or anything, but it was a good day. It was a little, weather wasn't too bad. And like I said, Travis was really good about, answering questions. And we actually had since we were kind of in a media park going up 131, we actually had, a news reporter show up and ask what we were doing. So I thought that was pretty funny.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So anyways,
Stealing water for Nestle.
right. So anyways, those are the pictures. I thought anyways, I kind of sorted through them and decided I'd show today.
Nice. Nice, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, if you guys, keep that in mind, for the spring, weather breaks. And locations, let's collaborate. Couple weeks notice.
Yeah, I mean.
Cable tours.
No, we're definitely cable tool. I mean, obviously, if we're gonna do cable tool, I'd prefer to get people out there closer to the end than the beginning.
Okay,
Just so they can see the screen get telescoped and.
well, we're in cold water. I can get you at the end and the beginning, it's about the same.
Sure,
They're not deep there, so.
right.
So, okay, good. All right, you're on.
Okay.
Peak demand.
Peak demand and variable frequency drives. We had a discussion at the last meeting about setting up a subcommittee. So I sent out an email asking who would be interested in participating, and I received 6 responses. So Dave, obviously, and then Scott Kinzerski, who's our type 2 coordinator. He's up in Gaylord and he's on the line right now. Bert Steinman, who is Eagle's water distribution specialist. He understands this technology. Rusty Llewellyn from Kent County Health Department, the non-computed program supervisor. And Buddy, you volunteered, and Dan Mylan said from the industry's perspective, he volunteers, and he also talked with Dave and Dan at Franklin Electric.
Oh, did he really?
Yep.
Good.
And they said that they would be willing to provide assistance where needed as well. So that is where we stand. I sent that out yesterday, letting everybody know who the committee members are, and the next step will be convening the meeting, to start talking about.
Come up with some criteria probably. Good. Good. While we're on that subject, well, I'll do that on other business. So let's move on, new business, abandoned plugging records location, that's me. So, lat longs on abandoned logs. How many of you guys put your lat longs on your abandonments? You guys do it? Everybody does it. I've seen some that do, some that don't. You were telling me you get 10, 15, 20% of the ones that you looked at that you don't.
Oh, I'd way less than that.
Way
I
less
would
than that?
say less than 5. most of the
5%?
time. Less than 5, yeah. I mean, my study obviously was very unscientific. I just took the
Gotcha.
month of November and
Right.
looked through the logs, and I know Anita as well. I think she looked at December and kind of came up with the same numbers.
All factors.
Yeah, less than 5.
Right. I know it was an industry agreement back in 2005 that we all agreed that it would be a good idea to by recollection, and I called Brian Brewer and he agreed with me, was especially in new records. And I can't remember the exact meetings on abandonments, so I'm not gonna say verbatim what it was. On abandoned logs, as far as if you can get it, fine, if you, then do the best you can, if you can't. I always thought it was backwards because I thought, well, it's more important to get the abandoned one, it would be the new one, because you drive the driveway. There's the new one, where's the one you abandoned 10 years ago, you know? But that one's square.
Right,
So,
right.
but, I think, my opinion is, it's very. The memo,
From 2005.
you know, this is what it is, it's a memo
Mhm.
for all of us to adhere to it is just an agreement, and I agree that we need to do it, but, I think it's important to go out there and let, not just industry, the health departments know that we've got to do what we can, and there it is again, you know, do I send a correction order, or do I pick up a phone and call? It gets a little bit disturbing when that stuff happens. So I think we can move on from that. You have that video?
Yes, I do. I was gonna share the screen again, and pull up this video.
So I'll set this up a little bit. So I was invited to go to Oklahoma in October. And I taught some of the classes, not necessarily the ones we're talking about here, part of the business part and a couple of the site specific, but when I was out there, National Groundwater Association started this program and they were talking to me about it and saying, this is great. They were telling me about the board meetings and I said, oh, that's nice. Okay, whatever, you know. And then I went out there and I saw it. And then Dr. Barnes and Dr. Todd Hallahan were saying, well, you know, well, how do we get people excited? And I said, well, until I came out here and saw it, you were telling me about it, I was like, kind of like, hurrah. But I said, number one source of media communication for the age group you're going for right now is YouTube. You need to make a YouTube video. And I said, and you need to share the living daylights out of it and start spreading the word. So they took my advice and they came up with this video. So the one thing we're talking about for our industry is we need new people. So tell me what you think about this.
I don't
Oh,
know.
you have to do the share your sound up there
Yeah,
and you're sharing your screen.
where was that at?
Yeah, on the share your screen, there's an option under there to,
Oh, so I gotta get out of this.
so yeah, it should have the ability to then select up at the top, share content, yes. Yeah.
Might be because I'm sharing sound with the
Oh, with
owl,
the-
so I'm gonna have to turn the owl off then.
Yep. Nope, there's a room to share your screen.
Yeah, I know,
Or
it'll
you
turn
go
on.
something else.
Yeah, I was looking for something else. Best laid plans, right? Yeah, I have the speakers on and I have sound off of the owl.
Is the owl plugged into your speaker jack?
No. Let's see here, let's just try this now. Maybe if I unplug the owl? Sorry, guys. Well, if I unplug the owl. Okay. All right, I'll do that. Let's see here. There we go. There we go.
Hi, I'm Todd,
I'm Caitlin.
and we're here to chat about NGWAU powered by OSU.
We're facing a groundwater workforce shortage. Over 130,000 people are going to be needed as early as 2029 because about 27% of the current geoscience workforce will be retiring. So we need to train and recruit as many people as possible.
It's tricky to recruit in the groundwater industry because people perceive that it's some sort of dirty thing where you're not educated, you're just kind of hanging out in the mud drilling wells. But it's really groundwater professionals are involved, and they have as much training or more than a lot of doctors. And it's the thing that keeps our environment healthy. So we're trying to get groundwater drillers trained up so that we can basically make sure that our society stays healthy.
And Oklahoma State University is a land-grant institution, meaning we are dedicated to taking the academics and research that we do at the university and giving back to the public, whether that's in our own community, in our state, or even across the nation, so that we're solving real-world problems.
And our mascot is Pistol Pete, who a lot of people know about the fact that he was a gunslinger. But after being a gunslinger, he became a well digger and hand-dug wells and created water supply for towns around Oklahoma. And the School of Geology at Oklahoma State has a long tradition of working in groundwater and helping people out in terms of managing that resource.
This workforce crisis is not something that OSU discovered on our own. It's something that was brought to our attention by the National Groundwater Association. NGWA is not only one of the largest groundwater associations, they're the only one dedicated to education and outreach. If we are going to train the next generation of drillers, we need to train people right now and create curriculum that they can use to learn how to keep our groundwater safe and how to operate a rig and design wells.
So OSU is now partnering with NGWA to create high quality training. This isn't a stuffy classroom training where you're just listening to a professor. It's not a simple webinar where you have no feedback on whether the people that you're going to have stand behind your rig or the people that you're going to have working in your water supply are actually learning anything. It's a dynamic classroom setting where you can measure that they're learning something from the content.
The content for these courses was created by subject matter experts from NGWA and professors and academics at Oklahoma State University and other universities. Class topics include things like geology and groundwater, rig types and well design, hydrogeology and fluid mechanics, and general workplace safety and rig safety to make sure that everyone who takes these classes receives training on how to protect our groundwater systems. They're online and you can take them anywhere you have internet connection. We have all kinds of assessments to reinforce important concepts. We have matching, clickable flashcards, drag and drop sorting. It's a really fun and engaging way to learn. We're trying to break down some of those typical barriers that prevent people from taking continuing education.
And we're not just looking to train college students, we're looking to train the range of folks that are working in the groundwater industry. So that's folks that are been on a rig since they were age 16 in their family's drilling company, and now they're wanting to take over their family business in their 20s, 30s, or 40s. Maybe those that are right out of high school and wanting to start working right away without going off to college, but need some training. Or maybe people who have been away from school for a while, but are looking to get a new career, and they see the opportunities available in the groundwater industry. We don't have a problem of need, we don't have a problem of equipment, we have a problem of people. And so if we can find people, we're fine, but if we cannot, we can't get new wells established and we can't go repair the wells that already exist that need some maintenance. Included in the coursework is micro-credentials, where when they complete a course, they can get a micro-credential that they can show to their employer or to their next potential employer that they've gone through these trainings and they understand these different components of working as a groundwater professional.
And that's exactly the point. We're trying to create educational pathways. So no matter what your educational background, your professional experience, where you are in your walk of life doesn't matter. You can still jump in at any point along the road to get training you need and to get a career in groundwater.
And we want the educational pathway into the groundwater industry to start early. So NGWA has an awesome aquifer kit, and that's designed to teach groundwater concepts to kids. The kits are cool acrylic tanks that show groundwater and surface water and porosity and all the topics that you get involved with for understanding what's happening below your feet and what you're drinking out of. Through this collaboration, we've also made an entirely digital version so kids can move through the lessons virtually and rotate the tank around in the computer so that they have an understanding of the physical and the technical components.
The digital kit is helping us take these groundwater concepts to more students than ever before and reducing costs related to storing, assembling, and shipping physical kits.
So our current AA360 digital kits, they target grades 5 through 8. But we find that students start thinking about their careers as early as 3rd grade. So we're trying to expand the kits so that we can handle the range from down to 3rd grade when they might start thinking about a career to 12th grade as they're transitioning to the college level.
And we recently received some supportive funding from the Oklahoma Geological Foundation. They're helping us form small cohorts of teachers across Oklahoma to get important feedback that we need to make that expansion from grades 3 through 12 and enhance the lessons to make them easier than ever to implement into classrooms.
The plan is that we're going to basically create these pathways into the groundwater industry, and that would be from non-credit courses, and then we're going to turn some of those into credit courses and help people earn degrees if they want to do it that way.
We're also working towards translating all of our courses into Spanish. But a really cool thing about what we're doing through NGWA University is not just the professional development and the K through 12 outreach, but we're also conducting research on managed aquifer recharge.
There's been a lot of talk about that we're pumping out our groundwater. There's been stories in the major press talking about it, watching water dry up in different places around the world. We need to spend the next century thinking about how to get water back in. And so a lot of research is being done to figure out what's the best way to put water back in the ground safely to be able to do that sustainably and so that the water that we draw back out later is of good quality that we can utilize to drink.
Another initiative that we have coming up is we are launching a public service campaign that's going to launch across the nation.
The announcement's going to have a professional TV commercial like you'd see for other public service announcements. There's going to be a website that showcases groundwater careers and the kinds of ways that you can work on this problem at whichever level that you want to help, whether that's through changing your career, through donating to NGWA or to the NGWAU program, and just trying to have people think about the fact that they're standing on the water that they're drinking.
We've received over $1 million in support from private citizens and industry partners to support AA360 and our professional development opportunities.
And the state of Oklahoma is leading the way, trying to protect their groundwater and making sure that they can manage the state's groundwater well into the future. They provided over 100 scholarships already to get folks trained up to get them into the groundwater profession. Scholarships are a great way to help out the program and getting your state involved to make sure that they're ready to manage the water over the next century.
We only have a few short years to make a big difference in the groundwater industry.
One of the best ways to get involved is following us on social media and sharing our message to as many people as possible.
Go to okla.st/ngwau to find out other ways you can help us recruit and upskill the next generation of groundwater professionals to help stabilize our infrastructure and protect our clean drinking water.
That's fact.
So one of the agenda items on one of our meetings, probably 2 years ago, was EGLE's concern about attrition in our industry. And I think this helps address the one. I'm not saying it's the solution.
But it's good messaging.
That's good messaging. It's gonna help address it. And Oklahoma State has learned, they tried to be in oil and gas. And they've learned that oil and gas is so fickle and they realized water is, Dr. Todd Hallahan, he was a McElhaney lecturer for 3 years ago for NGWA. And they realized that, water is where it's at. They brought Jeff Williams and myself out there for a course. It was kind of funny to me, here I am as well driller from Michigan. And we're setting at what they call the Ranchers Club, which is inside their inside thing, and it's Todd, Cable, PhDs, and there's a biochemist, another biochemist, a bioscientist, and another PhD. They're all talking, and then when Jeff and I would talk, they're all like this, and it's like, well, what's going on? Boy, we want to hear what you have to say. And we're just walking, yeah, but you're out there in the field, they want to talk to you. They don't get outside of the university, so it's interesting to them. But they're all in, and they want to train, and they understand it's going to be, they want to bring like a high school kid in, get them kind of familiarized, and then get him in the job. And then if they want to go farther, get them online, bring in more. And they're tailoring these also. So, because I said, you know, one of the problems we got is to get a sanitarian. They need to get the lingo. They need to get familiar with what's a derrick, what's a mud pump, what's a air compressor, what's the mud pan, what's air drilling versus this. I said, and they can do it at night. So it's coming. I thought it was important to bring it up.
Yeah, definitely.
So, anything online, anybody? Want to make sure you guys got something to say besides me running the Chad's clap. It's funny. Good.
Chad raises him.
Chad, go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to say, I've taken a couple of those courses, buddy, and they're very well done. So they did a very good job with those. So I think it's worthwhile.
Thank you. Okay, is Tweak on?
Yes.
Yeah, she's
Good. Yes, I'm gonna stick a fork in her side. Pressure switches and buried tank installations. So I have gotten quite a few phone calls from the southwest side, mostly 3 different drillers, about where on a buried tank can you put a pressure switch? And who has the jurisdiction to inspect it? Is it NEMA for enclosure? Is it not a NEMA for enclosure? And I know, Chad, you're gonna have a lot of input on this, and I want it because it's kind of a uncharted territory for sanitarians, and it's almost like, how far do we want to dig into this? But it's been brought up numerous times, and I know Twig has had some issues with a couple sanitarians on basically let the electrical inspector handle it, but where is it allowable in a well installation? Where are you gonna draw the line where it can't go? Do you want to talk about that a little bit, Elizabeth? Here.
I'm here. Sorry, I was on the phone. I'm multitasking. So we're talking about Berrien County, correct?
Marianne, a little bit, yeah. And others, I've had a little bit,
I mean,
branch too.
like Buddy said, basically to, I guess, summarize the situation, there is, the health department believed there is a violation under Rule 112 under the electrical code. And it was back and forth for a while, as far as between us and the health department and the driller. But we, as always, we state what our as an EGLE, the well construction, our message to the health departments when they do feel or think there's a violation under either Rule 112 electrical or plumbing is to contact the local authority, which would be the local inspector. In this case, I mean, basically it came down to that. The local inspector said to contact the manufacturer and get approval. However, through EGLE's eyes, the authority goes to the electrical inspector, so he would need to inspect it. So it kind of just came down to who was going to pay for the permit fee for the electrical inspector to come out and look at the installation to approve the installation as is. So did I summarize it? I know Dave was involved with this too. There's a lot back and forth. This was a while ago, but
And I would say for me, 95% of the time when I'm involved with these electrical or plumbing inspectors, I may get a different answer
Yep.
from each different jurisdiction. But if you send them a picture, if you tell them what the situation is, 95% of the time, they do not request a permit. They will look at it and they will give you their thoughts, their opinions on the spot, and allow the sanitary and the local health department to say, okay, this is good or this is not okay. And things kind of move forward from there. We had an instance this time around, down in Berrien where the inspector did not want to deal with the situation, did not want to deal with the well, wasn't comfortable with it. And I think his way of trying to get out of it was just to say, you have to pay a permit fee. So I'll look at it. And, and from there, it's like, the question was, well, who's going to pay for the permit?
Okay. Chad, have you run into this at all up by you? Because I know you have quite a few buried tanks up there.
Yeah, we run into it all the time. I mean, we're seeing a lot of pressure switches that are just stuck in a bell box on top of the tank, buried in the dirt. I mean, guys are still putting them in that way every day, and we're redoing them constantly. So we get a ton of redo work over that kind of stuff. And no one by us is pulling electrical permits. The health department hasn't really questioned it. So, if we're on an existing home, we have an electrician pull an electrical permit and our stuff's getting inspected. But beyond that, I don't think anybody else is that I know of. But we do see a lot of problems with what's going on with the buried tank stuff for sure.
And I guess what is hard for us and what we have seen is, like Dave says, is one inspector from a township or local inspector may interpret the same setup differently in one township over. So it's not consistent. And that's what we have a difficult, I think that's the most difficult. That's what becomes difficult in these situations.
I'll give you a perfect example. Mike Gabriel, when he was here, he put out a memo that talked about solid conduit, coming out of, next to the casing.
Yep.
That was the standard and that's what everyone looked at.
Right.
I had 2 instances in Kalamazoo County, where flexible was installed. And I talked to both electrical inspectors. Seems to me, the phrase for solid would be exposed and subject to physical damage. These were in a yard, they were in a truck lot. Seemed simple to me. No problem, needed solid. Both of them said, nope, we're okay with flexible. And I was like, really? And one of the inspectors actually said, you know what? I don't think I have the jurisdiction to look at this anyways or tell them what to do, so I'm not addressing it. So I talked to Laura, and I don't want to make this story too long, but I went to Laura and I said, this to me is a clear problem. And what I was told was, you can file a complaint with Laura, and if we get enough complaints against these inspectors, we will take away their ability to issue permits and we'll take that ability back. But besides that, it is their authority to say yay or nay.
So my question is, how far down this road do we want to go? To me, this is a case by case. I guess, and I don't want to say it this way because we don't want to stifle an inspector who's a sanitarian, who's actually getting out in the field doing their job. I don't want to describe them as overzealous. Okay, I don't want to say that. Did they go a little bit too far? Maybe not, they're trying to make sure that the owner was safe. Well, and that's between the owner and the inspector to say, well, hey, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. No, whatever. They can fight it out. But like Chad says, he's running into stuff where, they got a pressure switch and a 5-gallon bucket buried beneath the ground in the yard, so You know, who didn't look at that, you know? So there's that case. So, and the reason I bring it up is because I don't think it's the last time we're gonna see it, and I sympathize with you. Is it something that we need to maybe have sort of a SOP or something where
And stuff.
these kind of things are acceptable, but this is where we're gonna draw the line. It's gotta be above grade. It's gotta be in, plastic casing or, like Chad, you had a perfect example of how to do, in my opinion, this is me, a drawer, of how to do a berry tank installation with it in the extra well casing and the Phillips adapter. That's a perfect example on how to do it. Is it a NEMA 3 enclosure or 4R? No, but that's about as best as you're gonna get with the products that we have available to us.
And we have the document that we started to develop regarding, buried pressure tanks and switches. We went over that internally, and to be perfectly honest with you, I have my drawbacks on some of the information that's in there as far as where a pressure switch can go in, I guess what you'd say, if you were to interpret the well code literally, which you should be.
I understand.
And also that local authority issue. And like what we can't say, like, we can't take the authority ourselves.
I get it.
So what I did is I wrote up my concerns. There was some agreement, but I think overall, I think it's something as a group we can revisit internally and try and come up with something maybe that we all find acceptable, because right now that's not the case.
Okay, I think maybe we should a little bit, because as we progress further, I think we're gonna have another downturn in the economy sometime. And then you're gonna see more of this. It's only a matter of time. And maybe we can circumvent some of it, we're never gonna circumvent all of it, but.
And for me, if we can get at least get to a point of agreement within our group, I think maybe taking the document at that point and maybe having maybe a subcommittee to talk about it with drillers to like brainstorm and get something together that everybody is good with before, because I've talked about it here in my concerns, but this meeting's fairly high level and we really need more nuts and bolts discussion on it.
I agree. I think it needs to be addressed. My personal feelings aside, the only good buried pressure tank is the one never put in. That's
right.
But that's just not reality. So.
Right.
Okay, well, I think maybe we should put that as an agenda item.
Yeah, we can do some internal discussions and we can continue this until we get somewhere.
This is the part talk with Laura about plumbing and electrical, because they changed their code.
I sit on the plumbing board.
Okay.
And I will tell you this. They make change, well, I'm not trying to be negative here, but I asked to see the changes to the new, like when a new plumbing code is coming out, and they will not provide a copy. And the current plumbing code, I have to buy myself as a member of the plumbing board.
And they're in 2018 right now.
Right now, yes, 18.
Yeah.
And the
Did everybody
changes
hear that?
I'm sorry, say that again.
They're on 2018.
right now,
Yeah,
Now, are they international?
yes. They're international with Michigan specifics.
So they adopt international.
But-
And then they go.
But the thing too that we all have to remember is that the plumbing code does not apply to 1 and 2 home, like a 1 or 2 per like dwelling, 1 or 2 family dwelling. That is the
Here.
residential code.
Here.
Yes, in Michigan, 2015, the 2015 residential code is what you have to look at if you're looking at a private well.
Right.
for electrical. So there's also that from a plumbing and electrical perspective, you're really looking at the residential code. And sometimes that will reference back to the National Electric Code or to the plumbing code. But depending on what type of well you're talking about, will depend on what code you're looking at.
Right, type 2, but
And residential has been updated recently. I know they're working on new changes again to the plumbing code. But like I said, as a person that sits on the board, they don't share those with the board.
I'm gonna ask another dumb question. Are you, because you're an agency representative, are you just like ex officio, like you don't have voting authority, or are you a full blown, get all the rights and responsibilities?
I'm a full board member of the plumbing board, but they reduced the authority of the plumbing board quite some time ago. So really, most of our plumbing board meetings consist of Laura rejected someone's application to take the journeyman's test, and they'll come to us as an appeal. And we'll look at the information and say, we recommend back to Laura whether or not we think they made the right decision. But ultimately, that decision is still Laura's to have. And
It blows my mind that you're sitting out there. You say, well, if you want a copy of the documents we're talking about, get on your credit card.
yes.
I mean, that's just ludicrous. Sorry.
Well, fortunately, the department will buy whatever document I need. But
I hope you charge them every time they want to flush their trailers and they want water.
good idea.
it's a difficult position.
Thank you.
Is this something that we think should start out as like a best recommended practice? I've seen Chad's stuff on the buried tanks and pressure switches, and I don't know how we get from recommended practice to putting some teeth in it and making it be the code. But
My feeling is if it's something that the department's gonna put out, it has to meet the code. So, I mean, there's to me, there's a big difference between something that meets code, but there's also things that don't meet code that are that I know are more reliable and better. And, when we go through our next code revision, there's definitely some things along the buried pressure tanks that we need to look at and we need to change.
Anything else on buried pressure tanks, pressure switches? Okay. All right, contractors examination information. Dave, Kathy's not here?
No, she couldn't, I don't think she's gonna make it today, but there's not too much information, as far as, what's gonna be, I guess, presented here today. As far as the September 23 exam, we had one retake for a well driller, which, that person passed. We had one new well driller, take the exam and they passed. And two pump installers, one failed, one passed, but Kathy allowed a retake in November for that person that failed for the portion they failed, and they then had a pass. So basically, it's a 4 for 4.
It's kind of good.
Yeah, and then application deadline for the next exam is in February, and the next exam is in April.
That's gonna be close because our events, although it'll be good for them. 10 March will be closer.
Mhm.
Eric joined us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Put him on the spot. Eric, would you, we appreciate you joining.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, I was able to stop in for a minute here and listen in. I appreciate the invitation and the chance to listen into the issues you all are going over. So still want you to know very much support this council and all the work you do, and appreciate hearing what's going on. If anybody has any questions for me or comments, concerns, I'll be here for another probably 20, 30 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Money.
I think I'm, yeah.
I wrote a letter to the chairs for asking, well, testing money for you guys.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, actually we did. Matter of fact, it was interesting. You called the state lab to drop off a sample, and part of their thing is if you want a testing bottle, we're doing the best we can. Yeah, pretty cool. It's pretty neat.
Yes, we did put in a request for an additional 10 million for, I don't know.
Did you?
Yes,
Nice. Nice. That's gotta be going bananas.
it is.
Yeah.
Yes, which is wonderful. We are getting good results. Just as an aside, I don't want to hijack things too much, but we did have a woman call the laboratory, and this was reported from the lab to me, that she was in tears because she discovered that there was arsenic in her well that could have been contributing to some of her health issues, and she finally found the source of the problem and could then remedy it. So,
Nice.
you know, it's stories like that, that it gives me goosebumps that we're able to do this for people.
Right, it's solvable.
It's solvable, yes, yes.
Good. Brad, I think you're up.
Yep, so this is a little bit bigger one, because I wasn't here last time. We've got one contested case that's still ongoing, no update on that one. We had another one where we issued a notice of intent to revoke over the summer. We had their informal hearing, and we're in negotiation phase right now to see if we can do a consent agreement before we go to a contested case. We issued 4 cease and desists. One was a driller in the northeast part of the lower state that didn't renew registration. Started billing in the fall. Hopefully that's a easy remedy. 2 are realtors that were chlorinating wells, and 1 was a treatment company that was chlorinating wells or advertising chlorinating wells. The health department approached them on it. They said they were subcontracting out to drillers, but they're still advertising it. So we've got 2 notice of intents that'll probably be coming out pretty shortly here. One for the southeast side of the state, that's late well logs and some minor construction violations. One in the UP. He looks like he might be doing some pretty serious construction issues, so. And I've got 8 cases that we're looking into that we don't have an update on yet because they're in an initial investigation.
I will tell you that I truly believe that realtors chlorinating wells is a larger issue than what we all know.
We're typically finding it through Facebook and websites.
I find it through laboratories, independent laboratories. Yeah, so I'll get independent laboratories call me, say, we're sending a client your way. The realtor's husband chlorinated the well, or the realtor chlorinated the well, and they've had 4 failures and blah, 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 blah. And that's kind of an MO, and it's not the same realtor. Yeah. So I'll try to get the name of the realtor, and sometimes I'll get it, sometimes I don't. Okay.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get that information. Sure.
They don't understand that, they don't understand the complexity.
One of the ones, not to disclose too much information, but one of them the reason we found out is that they chlorinated it so hard and they had a galvanized pipe, and it was old, they actually ate through the drop pipes.
Nice.
Yeah. So they obviously were angry and upset the homeowner, so.
Compounded issues, yeah.
And then I will add, our enforcement is expanding. We now have a drinking water environmental health enforcement unit. Our manager, Matt Allen, started earlier this month, and we are getting ready to start interviews for 2 new analysts. So there'll be 2 more.
That's a great addition.
Yeah.
Great and welcome addition. just a great guy, great hire for you guys.
That's all I got.
Oh, you know, one more thing.
One more thing?
Yeah, aren't you a new daddy?
Oh, yeah, I am gonna get.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, Sophie was born, July 29th.
Boy. Are you sleeping all night yet?
She sleeps 8 to 9 hours. She starts at 12:31 a.m. and sleeps till 10, but yeah.
All right, other business, comments. Dan Mylan. Sent this to me. Dan is on a plane. They changed his flight to Oregon. So couldn't be on the phone. And he wanted to let me know that they changed his flight so that his wife and him couldn't sit together. She's up. And that's not good. He said, so she's actually probably clinging for dear life to somebody else right now. So, but he said, he sent me this note, he says that Michigan Groundwater Association Educational Conference is an invitation for all health department personnel to register and attend the MGWA Education Conference. The sanitarian discount is available. Do we have any questions on that? Okay. Who wants to know if it's posted on the state, NEHA, and NELF websites?
We could do
I think it should.
that. That would be that.
What is it that you want posted?
There's a discount available for sanitarians to our education.
I think there was some confusion. I don't think it was there when the not these students joined, where one of them was like a scholarship.
It's
and
got
one of them was a
discount.
discount, and one was 100, one was 100 off. So I thought last year there might have been some confusion on the different kinds of the discounts. Was it a discount or a price or a scholarship?
Right. When in doubt, contact our head office.
Okay.
Okay. Violent Supply and Valley Farms are going to sponsor the 2024 EGLE District Engineers Education Day. Okay, that will be just EGLE's decision, including MGWA possibly. Okay. The program would develop for EGLE's needs. If interested, who would be contacted coordinator.
Okay.
Okay.
Are you saying about the community water engineers or you?
You want to be the extension to those folks?
Yeah, Brandon would be the, if it's just strictly the engineers, but yeah, I'd be more than willing to be the contact.
Yep. So I'll tell Dan.
If you want to send me, the announcement or the details or the link or whatever, I can get it up to the health officers and all the director. Putting on the website, if you're not a member, you don't get access to the board stuff, and that's where that stuff would go. So if you don't have a login, like if you're not, you know, the health officer, if you're in a local health department, you wouldn't see it. So it's, but I can get it on their list there, so they'll go right to their mailbox. Yeah.
Thank you, Tony.
Local health departments proposed increase Island and Valley, which stands for support efforts to facilitate any meetings. So they're open their doors. We asked whether the Howell location would be good. Any drawing demonstration needs material or industry specialists to help facilitate. So, you know, I like a butt engineer there. I know that, I don't know if you know this or not, Aaron Katz is not with Valley anymore. He's now working for Bear, right?
Okay, I didn't know
Yep. So he's working for them. He also said for the VFD subcommittee that he would volunteer to help facilitate vendor input as needed and the VFD facilitate these meetings. Wonderful. Okay. And he'll be driving to Alaska in June. So other than that, he'll be here from January through May.
So this is the last year he's driving too, correct?
Yeah. Dan wanted me to pass that along.
Excellent. So appreciate the support.
So agenda items for the next meeting.
I had a couple of questions.
Yeah.
So what you're talking about there, if you're not a well driller, licensed well driller or well owner. If you open the well, it's like abandonment and things like that. And it's a realtor, not just a contractor, a portion of work's been done and gotta be a well driller. What happens? Are you guys looking at getting named in enforcement? Okay,
We sent cease and desist.
okay, but the work, it's done. So then what happens? Really, it's just, make a note of it. And if you get a realtor that's chronic, then you like,
It's
So-
actually
okay.
a misdemeanor for each offense.
Yeah, I was gonna say, after the cease and desist, we'll just get up with one of our detectives.
Gotcha.
Because they,
Brad's got a pair of steel toe boots, so we'll kick the door in, right?
And then the other thing, I know we wanted to try to get something together locally. There used to be districts, I think we were District 18, now there's regions. And I read your bylaws and it talks about the different regions. But it doesn't list the regions, and then it talks about directors at annual meetings. And it's got a list of directors not in the regions. And also get membership, it said, look at the articles of incorporation, and I didn't see those. I'm trying to figure out where's Oakland fit in all this. Is there a group of drillers, like you can only belong to one region? So what if you're out of state and you do like geothermal wells? We got some contractors like from Ohio, and they got to work with the license. I'm just trying to figure out how your organization is set up and who's what.
So it used to be a district, so they took your district 18 all through the east side of the state, and put it into that region. So you are now region, which is 1-3. So you're region 3. So,
Is there a map of it?
yeah, I can get you. I can send that to you too.
Is there-
Because the districts weren't working. Districts weren't having meetings. Matter of fact, we had a region meeting last night.
Yeah.
Outside its jurisdiction.
Yeah. It doesn't matter.
Oh, was that where you were in the regional meeting?
Yeah, it was a region.
Okay, yeah.
But still in his region, is in Oakland County, so technically you could be a member of that, you could ways. Technically.
Right, yeah, I saw that.
But if you want to volunteer, we'll be
Right.
like your region president.
No, thank you. I'm so done with being.
But so like now, if you had a driller in Ohio that had to hook up with a driller here for geothermal or something, you'd want to hook him up with somebody in the region 3 and you're here. That's what you want to do. But I can get you that map.
Yeah, and then they each have their own board of directors.
They each have a president and a vice president and a director.
Is that what Bill Curry is?
Joe Curry and Greg Adams were elected last night as directors. And then they sat on the state board.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah, it'd be nice to have that list of who's.
Hang on a second, I gotta get to know, because if I don't, you're never gonna get it.
Mike's got a question. Go ahead, Mike.
Not a question, just a
Comment.
quick comment.
Sorry.
I was just gonna bring up about the Ottawa County ongoing issues over there. You guys have probably been following a lot of the turmoil that's been going on over there the last year, primarily with the attempted removal of Adeline Hambley and the countersuits and some of that kind of stuff. They've appointed a new attorney, and our good friend Steve Hexel was not asked back to the Ottawa County Groundwater Board. He was quite vocal in support of Adeline Hambley, and it appears that they've removed him and moved to a different fella. He is a licensed driller. It's a fella from DeWind Well Drilling. I don't know him. His name is Lee McKeela. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. John Yelich is still on the board over there. They haven't attempted to remove him at all, but Steve did send a nice synopsis to me, and I did forward that to Mike Frederick and Buddy there. I don't know if they have any other comments regarding that moving forward. Steve is taking it pretty good. I personally don't think I would have reacted as nicely as Steve has. Steve really took the whole program to heart over the last 10 years. Worked through various studies and so forth. Um, Attended a lot of meetings gratis. Never got paid a dime for any of his work, and he just got caught up in the political turmoil over there, from what I can see.
Can I ask you a question, Mike? Do you think he got voted off or removed because he was vocal and he did oppose some of the things?
I think a little bit of that played into it, but the things he was vocal about, he was spot on as far as accuracy. They've done a lot of work over the years in Ottawa County, and uh, he was a very knowledgeable person to have on that board. He doesn't want to step on any of the new people, and he's actually wants to attend the meetings and show support for Lee because he feels Lee is a good guy. Um, so I guess uh, we'll see how it all plays out. I know Mike Frederick has some information about a fellow that may be running against one of the commissioners there now. So hopefully, as time moves on, more common sense will come into play. I know they've this Ottawa Impact Group. They kind of roll on what I would consider to be like a scorched earth kind of a system. Bulldoze their way through, fire whoever they can fire, and put people in that probably aren't qualified or um, but are just people that agree with their political ideology, perhaps. Um, so I guess I don't know if they just want to burn the whole place down and then walk away, or what their strategy is. But uh, um, I know the sentiment in Ottawa County right now is that the whole process has been pretty mean spirited, and um, doesn't show the diversity that the general population is actually made up of. So um, I guess that's all I can say about that. I support Steve and everything he's done, and I hope he can uh, uh, help to keep the train on the tracks over there. So I guess that's all I've got to say about that.
Thanks, Mike. Good thing is we got John Yelich still there. He's
Yes, that is a big plus.
a lot of knowledge.
Yeah. So anyway,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
With them slashing the budget of the health department as dramatically as they did, where does that leave their well program or the NPRs and EGLE? Is it
We have yet to have any of those discussions and know that they're with the HHS to propose the contract,
okay?
but I have no other knowledge.
I don't know if I'm a mistake here. I mean, I know there's mandated, there's essential local public health services, and there's services that are mandated that local public health has to do, and they can't mess with those. I mean, they can, I guess, appoint whoever and try to do whatever, but there's certain statutory requirements that local health has to do for protect the public's health, and that's the expectation and the funded to the state, and the state recognizes per the public health code, who the health officer is, they actually make that appointment. Yeah. So,
Qualified.
I don't know where they're at with that either. I mean, I know there's the programs that were cut were not, most of EH is regulatory, it's mandated, it's essential. So it's.
And I think the funding is everything. Maybe struggling with staff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like, you know, you get hit like that, in a smaller health department like that, I mean, they can't really absorb. it.
No, well, and they've lost some of the talent.
They don't
You
get
know,
it.
getting out what you can because you don't want to deal with the crazy.
Well, it's gonna be interesting to see how if they can come out on top of it, because it's just gonna be a struggle, and I think it's gonna be up to you guys over that way to maybe educate the public as they come to you guys and say, hey, what's going on? Why can't we get it permitted? And what's taking so long? Hey, this is what happened and this is the results of it. Be patient. Huh? Yeah, right. Right, I agree. Any other comments on that? Woody? All right, any other business or comments or going business? Agenda items for the next meeting, I think we're still gonna have our Michigan groundwater partnering meetings, talk about dates, if nothing else. And probably we'll have one by then, won't we?
Yeah, we'll have one or two. So,
Okay, and then we'll probably still have some stuff to talk about with Well Logic, hopefully. Maybe Neil has some, she'll have some more guys on Well Logic by then. And then maybe some drilling demonstration possibilities by then. And
yeah,
yeah, we'll have had our peak demand capacity meeting, maybe one or two.
Maybe one, two, yeah.
Okay, and then you and I were sitting here whispering about an SOP. Maybe we should put an SOP subcommittee together on something to talk about with drillers versus sanitarians on standard operating procedure. On what was our first one that we had to, when I'm losing my train of thought.
Just corrections.
Yes, corrections, but Tony was talking about.
Okay.
Right. How do we handle a well log? What's the path forward when a sanitarian finds it?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, bottom line, I think Adam, correct, but you know, how we get direction.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And then, type of simulation, pressure switch,
Yes.
buried tanks. I think we need to revisit that and maybe start putting something together. Can you bring what you had?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I would like to get some agreement internally first,
Well-
and we can try and have that meeting and try and get something together before the next meeting.
I understand, but
That's the hope. I'm just, like I said, I hesitate to bring something forward that internally we can't agree on.
well, and you know, here's the thing, this ties your hands, so.
Sure.
And I get it. And we want to make sure that we don't go outside these walls. If you go outside that wall, you open up Pandora's box.
Yeah.
That's gonna happen.
Yeah, we'll work on something.
So we gotta meet in the first quarter here.
Mhm.
Yeah. How does March 21st look?
just kidding.
Oh, isn't that Miha?
I don't know.
I haven't say you.
I believe that's the last day of Miha.
I think the 20th through the 23rd is Miha, and I know Kathy and I are speaking there. It's somewhere around there. I can get an exact date, but
Yeah, I think it is, yeah.
Or the 14th.
14th or the 28th?
Yeah.
Would you rather
Day
have
after your conference.
28th, but
28th be better?
yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I'm with you. I think you're right, because the 14th is right after MGWA and I'll
you have
still
something
be,
else before.
who knows? I said the 28th is better.
Okay.
March 28th?
1 o'clock.
Four. Oh, okay. All right. Other than that, we can adjourn.
Okay, stop recording.